make a team composition that felt like pick, but if they're going to go that direction, then the Elise is actually better for it anyway, right? Like, the same thing can be said across the board for the Chiefs. I think they should change the Rumble, honestly.
We'll see exactly what they do, as the Chiefs do have that counter pick potential, so another Alawi could possibly come in if they do like the comp they're picking it into. Rek'Sai is their first ban, you can see. And Seb, I mean, he set up a lot of those early team fights using that Tremor Sense, catching Spooks out of position, getting Pac-Man a whole bunch of kills. As you can see, LeBlanc Twisted Fate once again banned away here on the side of Abyss. I like them sticking to the Twisted Fate ban now that the Chiefs are on red.
Yeah, definitely. Is still better for them, exactly right, because they're on blue side. The Rek'Sai can no longer be seen by Seb, so the gauntlet has been thrown by the Chiefs in the jungle position, opposed to focusing entirely on that middle lane. Rise as well, one of those standouts that I think could have been looked at as Abyss call the bluff.
I think that is a beautiful blue side set of bans against the Chiefs here from Abyss.
That is massively calling the bluff though. Like, yes, you know the Vladimir's a forced ban. Abyss may want to first pick the Rise with the Rek'Sai already taken off the board.
Yeah.
Put that on Luch. It looked good on the Orianna, but of course that was a forced pick. There's also the Victor standing quite prevalent in comparison to the rest.
Well, we'll see whether Luch decides to go towards it. I did like his Orianna, to be honest. And Rise is a worthwhile pick away from Swiffer.
Maybe even a Karma first pick.
Yeah, very true.
Again, it depends on where their priorities actually lie. You want Karma for T-Gun, it's his most played champion, but there's also this as a mid lane choice. There's also the top lane or jungle options if you need the Elise, so that Spooks does it as an example.
Yep.
They've made their decision.
So Rise is going to be locked in here for Luch, most likely. Pac-Man can, of course, play it. It was more of a Lissandra play if we're looking at the majors, but can probably go towards that Rise, as Spooks now looking at the Elise. Exactly what you were talking about. A little bit more early gank pressure. Chiefs wanting to take control of this one. Straight up as Jin, a lot of priority as well. So Radiant once again on that one. Did look comfortable, possibly too comfortable in the first game.
Yeah, he had a very rough first game here, Radiant. Spooks as well, looking at this Elise, something that he doesn't often play. Not as much as a lot of other junglers do.
Yeah.
But when we do see him play Elise, occasionally he goes off.
Completely.
So we need to keep checks regularly on Spooks to see where he's going throughout this game. And of course, a tendency to counter gank can be pretty handy for Elise, having that guaranteed crowd control if they're going on your mid laner. It's pretty obvious where they're going to be.
That's a very good point. I also really like just this combination of picks from the Chiefs already. Deadly Flourish and Cocoon work fantastically in conjunction with one another.
Well, that was the initial point that I even raised, right? Is
yeah.
like, if you're going to run a pick comp, why would you be Graves instead of Elise, depending on what you want to achieve?
Very good point, but it does mean that Abyss can lock away the Karma given the fact that it was missing from that first round of picks from the Chiefs, and Ezreal are going to be locked in with it. So already that bottom lane locked away here by Abyss.
Ejim, of course, has a very capable Thresh, and Thresh Jin as a lane combo is always powerful. Something that we've seen a few times, actually, I believe, into the Karmas.
Yeah.
Is this Thresh and Ejim. No slouch. He was not the problem, I think it's safe to say, and I don't know if there was this massive standout problem from the Chiefs besides a reasonably greedy overall draft. They will have to make some changes, though, as the Rise is already gone. I'd like to see, if we're looking at Swiffer roaming, put him back on the Talia even.
Well, we'll see whether he actually does decide to do that, because if you're talking about picking people off, changing up these team fights as far as the dynamic is concerned, then definitely Talia would work.
I guess the major concern is that scales off by about the 35-minute mark.
Well, they're hoping to get this one done before 35 minutes as Swiffer locks it away. Talia's in there and Bard for Ejim. Big playmaking bottom lane here for the Chiefs.
I was expecting Bard in game number 1 as well. Thresh does the exact same thing, however, so it was perfectly fine. Bard, a little bit more playmaking because of the ranges with which you can engage. Really good setup for a Talia comp as well. Actually quite nice with Jin. They've got basically the same concept of their first game draft, but in my opinion, much more well-rounded. But it is a little bit more early game focused or inclined, given that they have the Talia, knowing it's against a Rise, which means eventually you do get outscaled.
We'll see exactly what they do decide to put towards the top side of the map here for Abyss, because they have to make up their mind there. The jungle role also needs to be filled. Evelyn currently being hovered. Not sure whether Seb is going to go towards that as Spooks. He's already thrown the gauntlet with the Elise, and Shen locked away. Kha'Zix now for Seb. I actually like those two, just because they still have a lot of damage now with the Kha'Zix picked up for Seb.
Yeah, I guess they compensate with damage in the jungle role opposed to that top lane as Shen can work decently well with the Kha'Zix also, if you really want to think about it.
Hey,
a champion that's risky to get into the backline is the Kha'Zix due to his fragility, but a Shen makes a tank out of everybody. And so you can get into that backline. Jin's not exactly the highest mobility champion.
You can also use your ultimate there for Kha'Zix as well to actually create that surprise factor, much like you would with a Twitch. I mean, it doesn't last for very long.
It's not exactly.
Circumstances, it could work.
So it's the first thing I thought of as well. Yeah, I'm not raising this. It's actually not important.
That's probably because you knew that I would, let's be real.
Glad that we covered it.
Yeah. It's an exciting prospect.
I think as far as a 5-man draft goes from Abyss, not too bad. Mixed damage across the board. The Kha'Zix actually quite a nice little trump card.
Yeah, I like it. Well, Trundle is going to be defaulted to here by Swiper, so they do have some tankiness now for the Chiefs. Definitely setting themselves up to control these fights. What with the Weaver's Wall out of Swiffer's Talia, as well as the Trundle Pillar, and that Tempered Fate to really allow things to go into Chiefs' line of work. And we'll see whether it is what's going to happen this game, or whether Abyss can ride the momentum from game one, because that was one hell of a decisive win. They have changed up the style a lot now, putting a little bit more power into Seb's hands on the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, definitely. Seb has proven himself, honestly, even through game number 1 as a strong jungler. He makes good decisions and sets his team up properly. Now that we look at the finished team composition, fully swapped around for both of them, I really do like what the Chiefs have done in game number 2, and comparing that to the first, it's a lot less greedy, it's a lot more well-rounded with what they want to achieve. And yeah, that zone control can be quite dangerous. If the Chiefs ever get a lead, they look for objectives such as the Baron, the Drakes, or any of the turrets taken. With a Trundle Talia composition, you're going to have a bad time against them.
Yeah, exactly right. You can even block off those front doors. I mean, that's terrifying. If they had the opportunity to go towards the Alawi there as well, I mean, trapping everyone in sort of the murder dome with Alawi would be very frightening, but not going to happen this time around. It is going to be the Trundle there for Swiper. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear from you. Use that hashtag AEWin if you think that they can follow through, get their first 2-game series ever, and a victory over the Chiefs. This would be a huge deal for the Abyss roster. Or if you believe in 3 games, if you believe in the Chiefs and you think they can turn this one around, use that hashtag CHF win. And if they've ever needed it, they need it today.
Now, if we keep talking about curses, it feels like both of these teams have started it in very different ways. Abyss always seem to have a 3-game series, whereas the Chiefs seem to struggle in Super Week, and only one of those has rung true at the moment. Coming into this second game, though, it's still anybody's game.
Most certainly is. And if we were going to hold true to all of the curses, then Chiefs win this game and Abyss win the game after that, and then we'd be fine.
The prophet hath spoken.
Radier going to get the first bullet off as Luch is going to trade, gets himself the Thunderlords, but does still lose out. As Dancing Grenade's going to be enough there from Radier.
Of course, once again, Deathfire Touch is the keystone mastery of choice for the Jhin. No real shocking revelations to be seen there. The Thunderlords, though, for Seb. Early aggression.
Yeah.
Don't mind it.
Well, you can see lane swap wards going down for both teams. We'll see who's aiming for the standard lanes, who's aiming for the lane swap here potentially.
You know what's nice about Thunderlords on Kha'Zix is the jump does damage. So it applies 1 tick of it.
Hey, true.
You jump auto or jump Q auto, I can actually proc the Thunderlords quite easily.
Don't even need to land your W.
Exactly. No need to spell weave. The question that needs to be brought up is where these teams are starting. Of course, the same lane swap vision has been applied time and again. Between a Bard and a Jhin, you'd expect them to want standard lanes, but Chiefs as a team, I would imagine actually want a lane swap to try and cause problems in the Abyss lineup. They are still a young team. Their lane swapping may not be as refined as the experienced Chiefs roster.
However, as it does stand, it is going to be standard lanes achieved. I'm entirely sure who instigated it, as Swift is able to take down this backline, and Luch not going to find his first Q of the laning phase.
An even more efficient version of Azir is what Talia provides. Being able to instantly clear a wave, push a rise under the turret, and then harass them is the name of the game for any Talia player. And so Luch, if he wants the last hit, especially from where he's standing, he actually runs the risk of being hit by these spells.
And Swiffer with a lot of ground that's unworked here at the same time, so he does have some opportunities to get work done. Now farming out very effectively. However, Luch probably just happy to get himself towards a late game stage.
He's missing a lot of farm Atlas. He's actually struggling.
Yeah, not having a good time at all. Swift is just unrelenting. I mean, Talia is an awful lane bully in the early levels.
It's frustrating to watch, right? And then you assume, because of how much he is bullying, that Seb on this Kha'Zix will want to pressure middle lane. By doing that, Spooks actually can find himself in his natural habitat, which is counter-ganking.
Yeah.
And so you find this interesting dynamic just forced by the champion drafts. And I guess I'm curious the most about how Seb reacts to this, how he plays the map, because honestly, Spooks is already there.
Yeah, already setting up. Actually, not deciding to go in, give away his position.
We can't go
walk
in.
past the minion wave.
Tali's at the turret.
Yeah.
Where he is going, however, is that jungle position, and Seb's not the healthiest jungler right now.
Yeah, they have pinged him out. They know exactly where Spooks is at the moment. Oh, Seismic Shove dodged far too well there from Luch, to be honest.
How dare he?
Yeah, that was very swift.
So one other thing, again, like we're looking a lot at Talia, but it's quite important to the outcome of this game is the worked ground is genuinely a problem. If you sit there and only push, you run out of work ground to use. You run out of work ground to use, your damage and your trading isn't as high, and there's opportunities for Ryze to come back and hit you for it and actually punish you. So you kind of want to push it in, harass them out, and then freeze it. But because he's not able to successfully harass enough here, Swiffer, it'll be interesting to see once again how this progresses.
And Luch actually playing really far back, giving a lot of respect to the Chiefs' bottom lane.
You can see how the lane has actually completely moved to the middle again, instead of being where that work ground is, because Luch is standing on it. So Swiffer can continue to trade.
Yeah, and actually did manage to get a really nice shove there. The knockback, getting a good trade. Now ahead by about 8 CS. Must feel good. Well, Swiffer was the one that told us about how frustrating Luch is to lane against. He's winning in farm against Luch. And he's definitely reinvigorating, and the Chiefs need something like that right now.
And for what it's worth, Pac-Man's actually already 10 CS up on Swiper. And that lead will be, whilst it looks like it's growing, will be reduced a little bit. But naturally, that's surprising, firstly.
Yeah.
But the Shen seems to do well in this matchup against Trundle, something that scales off quite heavily, but does well.
We'll see whether he can get to that point where he can utilize his ultimate, get around this map, affect his lanes, and this is how we saw Abyss getting ahead early on. As Luch, once again, going to be pegged back. Swiffer blocked by the minions, but still getting some serious harass down onto this Ryze, who has the Ghost, doesn't have TP. Seb, able to take away his Raptor camp and leave himself to safety.
Gets himself out, but Luch is not what we define as safe.
Most certainly not. Does avoid the Seismic Shove. So thankfully he's going to be okay. Spooks looking for the point-blank cocoon. Finds it there onto Seb, who may have to flash to get out of the way. He's very squishy at the moment on this Kha'Zix. Nice heal comes in from the W, but summon a spell down.
But that was really good from Spooks and Ejim. The way that they positioned themselves, knowing that Luch should not be where he is, knowing that he should honestly get out at the moment. Doesn't have teleport to come back in and save the lane. And there's a big wave of minions actually crashing. The movements now from T-Gun are the right response to this. But they get the flash out of Seb by capitalizing on the tendency of the jungler when their mid laner is losing.
Now they're looking for a potential gank. Seb gets hit by the cocoon but takes it away. Luch will be able to auto-attack clear underneath this turret relatively effectively. Tower's still standing, but you can see this Talia just doing so much work.
Yeah, causing a lot of issues. There's Raid now by himself, of course, as T-Gun leaves. It's funny how this game is now super dynamic moving through the jungle. It does still feel like revolving around this middle lane of Chief Swiffer.
Oh, Luch
has brought us this far. Seb's, again, he knows where to be. They finally, I think, get a recall off. What does that do,
dirt actually landed on his head. So maybe he was trying to get the little dirt to stop his recall. Didn't happen.
That was funny. This game's actually slowed down quite a bit. The laning phase is reasonably prolonged. Everything's close enough to even, besides that one discrepancy we have noted, where all the pressure is lying in that middle lane.
Yeah, the big thing, teleports. Both available here from the top laners. Stand United now here for Pac-Man as well.
Spooks is actually...
Oh my goodness, the flanking teleport comes down. Seb caught by the cocoon, and now Swiffer's going to find his way in. Weaver's Wall's available, but Luch is over the top. He has a lot of damage as Spooks is going to come down. Pac-Man gets pegged back. Nice seismic shove from Swiffer. True Shot Barrage is so close to getting the kill, and Pac-Man wants to get that Shadow Dash. He's got a flash available to him, but Swiffer gets near a wall, and he's going to surf his way out.
Yeah, Swiffer surfs out. Spooks with no health to his name. That was aggressive from the Chiefs. super aggressive. Luch uses both summoner spells actually to get over the wall and even take out Spooks, but the repel was enough, just barely, to keep him happy as Raid nails the ultimate.
Yeah. Ridiculously well done as Pac-Man not going to get the Shadow Dash onto Swiper, but avoids a bunch of the damage from that big old club.
Yeah, Pac-Man didn't have to use anything to get in there. I was expecting the flash taunt, but he wasted the taunt early, unfortunately. Ultimately is what lets them get out safely.
But is the onus on the Chiefs to perform well here in this early game, as far as the team comps are concerned?
They certainly feel like it is. It's not working out that way for Swiffer, unfortunately.
Oh god, Luch finally able to turn this one around as he does now the last Q. Feeling the burn a little bit here in the mid lane is the Talia. But we'll go back. And still has that 21 CS lead as Luch grabs himself another round of his passive and has that ultimate to burn.
Yeah, Luch gets a fair bit of sustain once he hits that level 6 mark. They're actually looking.
Yeah, Stand United actually comes in onto Luch just to save him from Spooks and Swiffer.
That worked out perfectly for Abyss because he got cancelled and can stay in lane. Luch just walked away.
Yeah.
Unusual communication from the Chiefs there. I think that was a reactive pillar from Swiper to stop him.
I mean, if you see a Shen doing it.
I know. Yeah. I know. That sucks, though.
It does.
Still, it's a small thing. Like, everything is continuing to even out. More pressure applied mid lane. But Seb's finally hit a point where he's able to do damage. He's got his level 6.
Now, Risk Cutler is going to be taken down. You can see wards in the back of the Dragon Pit. Infernal Drake is going to be Dragon number 1. Not looked at so far here at 10 minutes into the game. It's getting on.
I mean, Kha'Zix provides a lot of neutral buff damage as well.
Yeah.
The isolation onto the epic monsters makes sense when there's only one thing in there. So for what it's worth, Seb would have a lot of pressure working around that area. I think between him and T-Gun, they could actually two-man it, but the Chiefs have got vision there set up well in advance to actually counteract it.
T-Gun going to get caught out by a Cocoon. Takes a fair bit of damage as Ejim doesn't quite find it onto T-Gun. Nice shield keeps him alive as Weaver's Wall coming in here for Swiffer. Dances right underneath the turret as now Pac-Man gets his way through, but the tower falls. Swiffer's in trouble. Unfortunately, takes his wall down a little early.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he pressed it twice. It may not even have been in range to completely cover it. Raid.
Yeah, there's the curtain call as Raid uses the heal, avoids the curtain call damage, and is going to be safe for now. As you can see, the flank coming in from Abyss.
Big flank.
Magical Journey, thankfully there for the Chiefs. Seb and T-Gun make their way back down.
Really not impactful. Magical Journey there.
Yeah.
It did get them out, so it did its purpose, of course. The vision control has entirely shifted towards Abyss on the bottom side of the map. They do still have that Kha'Zix to take it out, but they don't opt towards it. Really unfortunately, honestly, for Swiffer and Swiper, how that top lane actually progressed.
Yeah.
Pac-Man almost gets a kill in a situation where he had no right getting one.
They did manage to get themselves a flash, but trading it for Swiffers is probably not exactly ideal. Pac-Man now going to pick up a whole bunch of farm here, really even things out against Swiper. He will get himself up to 83. Possibly even freeze out this wave. Swiper now gets a free back, almost has his Ravenous Hydra.
The farm values are not really different enough to call it impactful at the moment, unfortunately. As once again, the name of the game between both of these teams feels so heavily inclined towards vision and setting things up that we haven't actually seen the action break out. We're at 11 minutes. There's been a lot of fighting. There's been a lot of near kills, but nothing genuinely just outright secured in any of these situations. And that's because it starts by fighting for wards.
Yeah, and T-Gun as well. Now able to dodge out of the way of Ejim's damage, and now it's a battle for the vision control as T-Gun gives up.
Yeah, well, Spooks is helping him out. They have not left this area of the map, the Chiefs.
You can see this outer turret now taking some fire as Luch is going to get his way up here. Does clear out the way very quickly with that ultimate passive. And he'll have that one back up very soon as well. Only down by about 10 CS now as the Rod of Ages is almost there here at 12 minutes. And he's at 750.
Such high priority actually placed here. Like, it's starting to become...
Whoa, there's the Ghost as the Stand United's come in as well. Spooks locked down by everything. Nice Tempered Fate, but it's just not quite enough. And First Blood goes to Luch. Bad news story for the Chiefs as Spooks gets picked off. And that's what this Abyss comp wants to do.
Yeah, the Runic Echo's Elise is quite squishy. Once again, the neutral damage that they have every time an isolated Q comes off, you can see it now. Helps out Seb a lot. Karma's got the shields. They've got the ability now to start the late game snowball with their team composition.
Oh my god, and Luch just flat out kills Swiffer. Radiant now looking for the kill onto Raid, but T-Gun's body blocking for him. Ejim in trouble. We'll have Arcane Shift relatively soon as there's the True Shot barrage. Nails both of them. They're looking for him, but Raid doesn't hit all the skill shots required. And waiting for another round.
Wow. Swiffer dying 1v1 to Luch. It's not okay.
Yeah, and the farm completely evened out now in the mid lane. He's got teleport, can make his way back as he might look towards the bottom side. So Raid's taking a fair bit. Ejim flirting with death a little bit with this health bar.
Yeah, he actually should look towards the bottom side of the map. There's no reason for Ejim to be this far forward, as we do get to see how this breaks out. Swiffer actually pushed him the wrong way. Maybe looking to try and fight him 1v1, didn't expect that much damage, still pushed him the wrong way.
Gave Luch his Rod of Ages there as well as he heads back to base. Amp Tome now completed. Preparing for Void stuff or the Rabbidan's Death Cap with that one, I'd assume. He wants to go towards that Seraph's Embrace as soon as possible. And Pac-Man just going to farm things out underneath the turret. A man that is very well accustomed to just chilling is now Swiffer and Swiper getting some work done here onto Pac-Man. And get it done correctly this time.
Yeah, they actually achieved their purpose. Luch is looking for the wraparound. Risky. He knows he's 1v2, but he seems confident enough to take this.
Yeah, we'll have the passive up as well as Swiffer's exploding flashes on top of him, and now Swiper, he's forced to flash away. This Rise is huge, has the extra movement speed as he's looking for another W, but doesn't find it. That's a 1-for-1 trade, but the turret falls in favor of the Chiefs.
Luch is a monster right now. Yes, the Chiefs are playing the objective game.
He's a man possessed.
There's only so many objectives you can take against the 3-0 Rise. And when that becomes 4-0, and let's just say it becomes 5 for the hell of it, how do you get past Luch on this Rise? All of the focus that the Chiefs have put the first 11 minutes of this game towards mid has now completely been thrown out the window. No CS advantage for Swiffer. And a 3-0 Rise with the CS advantage himself now.
Oh, T-Gun caught out of position here as he flashes, but is it going to be enough? We'll have the shield relatively soon, and there's the Stand United as well. Have they baited Spooks in here as the Shadow Dash is going to nail him? Ignites down, and Spooks is going to fall. Abyss, insult added to injury.
And there's the Shen. Once again, the draft out of Abyss makes a lot of sense. They're making it work. I am honestly just continuously impressed by Luch and Pac-Man in this series alone. Pac-Man stepping up huge. Luch is a roaming mid. The Chiefs, they're not out of the game. It's only 300 gold, but it still feels like it.
This is ridiculous. Yeah, the gold lead is absolutely nothing. The Swiffer has himself a Kindle gem. He's got 30% CDR, so we will have...
He will kill T-Gun if he shows up. He'll actually 1v2 because of the health bars.
Well, Raid is actually in trouble here as well. Nails the combo. Swiffer heading back round. There's some worked ground here, though, as T-Gun is going to make his way back in. Swiffer waiting for some cooldowns. And there's the Tempered Fate. Nails both of the Abyss members as Seb is going to launch himself on top of T-Gun. Look at the damage as T-Gun is going to fall. Swiffer's going to be the answer, and Seb grabs his first. Now, Spooks, how did that needle thread, Raid? That was ridiculous.
Yes, they picked up T-Gun. Luch isn't done. He's obviously just zoning them away. Swipe is the issue. There's no teleport to get to him. The Chiefs still have win conditions. He just needs a minion wave to make it work. But Abyss, we speak about Seb time and again. He's actually always there when it counts the most. And this time it was there to take out, not exactly kill Ejim, but take him out of that battle.
Yeah, took him out of the battle and then managed to get the killing blow onto Swiffer. He has a lot of damage. Warrior Enchant now completed after he headed back to base. And Kha'Zix is a little bit reliant on getting some sort of snowball happening and see whether he can work things out as he moves forward. Level 11, though, for Swiper here as Pac-Man takes away the Gromp. That's depressing. Gets himself level 11 as well as the pillar comes down. Doesn't have Shadow Dash anymore as he's now looking to try and fight this one out. Luch.
Oh, no.
Gonna get collapsed on by everyone, and you ain't surviving that one, buddy. Swiper now in trouble as well as look at the damage that Seb's capable of. Pac-Man did almost fall, but nice answer as Swiffer gets the wall down. Pac-Man flashes over the top, and Seb wants this 1v1. Deadly Flourish is not going to find him, but the Cosmic Binding will, and eGym's able to meep slap him to death.
Yeah, Seb no flash, nowhere to go but forward, and he tries his best to get a trade, but he's not going to see it. Of course, the Chiefs rotate as a 4-man unit, now looking to make things work. In the absence of Swiper, who still has his teleport, there's always going to be that opportunity. Every time they make Abyss move around the map and they're not doing it themselves, it looks like the Chiefs are in this game with a fighting chance. Every single time Abyss are making the plays, it feels the opposite. So proactivity feels like the key at the moment.
It certainly does, and with that, Chiefs are going to be able to get themselves a 1,000 gold lead here at 18 minutes into the game. But Luch is still this massive rise.
It also looks like we're going to be seeing a Hextech Proto Belt Talia, something that I think Bjergsen is one of the big advocates of.
Okay.
And we have very rarely seen it on Talias, but I've seen it on his stream a fair bit. Quite good. It adds to your early game damage. Once again, you think of what a Hextech Proto Belt actually provides. It doesn't give you scaling AP in comparison to anything else, but it makes your mid-game super strong. That you can get over your own wall.
That's a really good point. The next Drake is going to spawn now. Seb already in position for this Ocean as Dragon number 2. Remember, they were able to pick up the Infernal Drake very early. Now this is going to fall very fast. And healthy. Seb will have that shield.
What's the bot by the fate though if they want to fight? That's their go button every single time. You can tell if they want to or not.
Not going to happen this time around as Seb's just going to clear some vision. Everyone moving back, buying time for Swiper to work his magic in the 1v1. Already 30 CS ahead as eGym's coming around. Everyone coming around, taking that magical journey into the jungle. And this is the Chiefs style, the suffocation starting here towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, the slow play, of course. The Bard Magical Journey makes it obvious when you're next to minions, but they can now look towards objectives. There's no necessity to contest this one unless they desperately want to fight. But the Chiefs can play around Fog of War. Shen's actually altered.
Yeah, Seb's going to launch his way in. This is the delivery service as eGym's going to get picked off. Raid grabs the kill. They have to back away from the Rift Herald. He's going to return home. There's now the outer turret under fire. The curtain call comes in from Radier as everyone's moving very quickly around. True Shot Barrage is going to nail him as Swiffer gets caught by the Rune Prison and another Shadow Dash comes in. And the tower is going to fall down. Abyss, 2 picks and a tower.
Yeah, big picks, of course. The Seb Pac-Man duo in the Shen and Kha'Zix is enough to assassinate anybody. The taunt follows up the jump in, and 100% you'll see that Shen hit as Raid.
Yeah, there's the flash forward. Raid was looking for the last Q, but doesn't get it. Doesn't have the Iceborne Gauntlet yet either as Radiant. Oh, Swiper caught out, and Raid picks up another one. And the snowball looks to be on here as the inner turret now under fire. That will fall down. Tempered Fate locks down 4 people. But do they have the follow-up? There's a Cosmic Binding, but it's not going to save the turret. And the Chiefs now behind 3,000 gold in a matter of minutes.
I feel like we're seeing just genuinely the strength of the Abyss team composition actually coming together. Ryze has lockdown, Shen has lockdown, and Kha'Zix can isolate and kill anybody that he gets on top of. Not only that, I actually think the Karma is the determining factor in their team composition success because it enables these carries such as Ryze and Shen that have a hard time getting on top of you without fail. It speeds them up to be able to do that far more successfully without having to burn summoner spells. Get something from your opposition. It feels like it's too easy for Abyss. Yes, they get themselves a big lead. I will still say it feels like the Chiefs can bring this one back.
Oh, yeah.
But we already said it in drafting phase. The Ryze outscales the Talia. One's 3-1, the other's 2-4. The one that's scaling has those kills.
And are we looking to Swiper to really step up here on the Trundle? I mean, we've seen... I hate to say it, but players like Pac-Man do exactly that. Really carry games out with this champion. Swiper is ahead by quite a big margin as far as farm is concerned. He might be the answer here for the Chiefs.
Yeah, Swiper's definitely one of their big talking points. I think the game plan for Abyss is disregarding him, just trying to survive, and then snowball the rest of the map using Shen ultis, which is back up. To play it carefully though, because eGym will always find his opportunities to go, and Swiper can run away with those side lanes. Abyss can't get in.
Luch finds the cocoon. They do also find the outer turret here towards the top side of the map. Swiffer decided not to move up, but of course, look at the vision line here for Abyss. They'd know if the Weaver's Wall was coming.
Yeah.
Nice stun here onto Raid. Big shield comes down as Tempered Fate is going to lock down Luch. It's exactly the target that they wanted. but it's not enough damage to get rid of
Big
Raid.
wall.
Yeah, Big Wall is going to split this one off as Swiffer jumps off onto his team's side. Luch now caught out of position as Seb is going to jump over, but there's no flash for Luch, and he's left on his own. The teleport coming in from Pac-Man as Swiper. He also made his way in, and T-Gun's going to fall down.
Seb's in trouble.
Yeah, really nice pillar comes in as Swiper is going to subjugate up the Pac-Man and eat him down. Another fantastic seismic shove there from Swiffer. Is going to be able to lock down a kill and pick it up for himself. So 4 for 1 in favor of the Chiefs.
And it may well just be the Baron. Atlas is directly after that where the fight ends is next to the pit. They've got Swiper to do damage and be a tank. Raider to compensate with Swiffer. They should be able to lock this one down. Completely uncontested, barring Raid's Miracle ulti, but is actually still on cooldown. He's now walking in potentially to look for this.
And he wants to try and stop them as does use the Arcane Shift. There's the shove, and Radiant picks up the kill easily. A desperation move as Spooks is going to make his way over. Repels his way into the pit, and Ejim's going to die.
T-Gun's now here, though.
Yeah, can they actually find their way in? As he doesn't get the steal with the Q, which would have been adorable, and everyone's just going to empowered recall in the back of the pit. They might be stopped here. Swiper will be, as T-Gun probably can't go 1v1, but just needs to bide some time.
Yeah, well, Luch is making his way. This should actually... Oh, it might not be a killer. We'll see. That's probably not.
Well, Luch does have the passive giving him movement speed. And there's the
There
W.
we go. There we go.
Yeah, they are going to lock that one up. So Luch is able to answer the kill, but there's still 3 Barons left on the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, they've got a lot of Baron buffs between them all. I actually think it's 4 Spooks, I believe, made his way in towards the end of that. The Chiefs, they turn it back around. The gold lead is completely shrunk. Raid gets caught to kick it off. Not only that, Tempered Fate was perfect because it stops Luch, and then the wall. This is the composition of the Chiefs doing its thing. Seb actually gets completely knocked out when he was trying to walk, so he has to jump. That jump would have saved him later. So definitely a lot of credit to Swiffer the way he plays this. And Big Swiss comes in as Pac-Man.
Whoa, yeah, Raid is going to be able to pick that one up with the curtain call. Pac-Man caught out of position. Nice damage there from the True Shot barrage, but unable to get the kill onto Ejim. This Ocean Drake for Dragon number 3 is going to be up in 12 seconds, and Chiefs need to get themselves on the board. Could be a definite opportunity now.
Yeah, you don't want to give 2 Ocean Drakes over. It starts to become very annoying when you're trying to sustain through poke. They know where Spooks is. They think they have enough map control to actually just take the Ocean. So unfortunate for the Chiefs. We'll see how they play this one out. Bard's now collapsing again.
No teleport available for Swiper as well. He was on the top side of the map. They saw him. 7 seconds onto Pac-Man, who has the ultimate as Luch has launched himself forward. They're looking for Spooks, who has nowhere to go and will fall down. It's what happens when Abyss instigate the fight.
Exactly. This is the exact point that we were talking about earlier. If Abyss are moving forwards, they look the best. But what we just saw in that last team fight that went in favor of the Chiefs, giving them the Baron, was the Chiefs responding to Abyss moving forward. I think it comes down to the timing of these spells. Spook's out of position because he didn't have vision. They pay for it. As that was a Baron buff, Chiefs now losing their jungler, which means another 30 seconds where they can't actually utilize it to get themselves ahead. They now have to sit back and deal with the fact that the gold is still even, which is okay.
Seb also looking to steal away this blue buff and give it to Luch. Will die extraordinarily quickly, especially with that passive from the Rise. 5, 2, and 4. This guy's huge. Seb is able to run very quickly on this Kha'Zix.
And we have to put our eyes towards the Trundle again. I think Swipe actually had a big say in that last fight.
Yeah.
Not only did the rest of the Chiefs play it well, Raider and Swiffer able to lock their combos together and kill people in the front of the fight. Swiper has to come in and hit the back line, be a threat. Raid's playing pretty well, honestly.
He is.
As is Luch. So it comes down to how they play these fights. Don't give Abyss an opportunity.
Big 3-item spike coming in here as well from Abyss as the Blade of the Ruined King's done here for Raid. Nice Cosmic Binding from Ejim, but they aren't going to pressure this turret. Seb's able to get underneath and take that one down as Luch was making his way in. So you can see it's sort of the 2-3 split coming down from the Chiefs as Raid's trying to hold on to this minion wave. The Baron buff's still there for Swiffer and Spooks. And the turret is going to fall on bottom side. Seismic shove, but there's the Arcane Shift just in time there for Raid. Pac-Man, they got his teleport.
Now, thankfully, Ezreal can use his E pretty much over everything. Otherwise, I would theorize his death there.
Yes, well theorized.
It was a tough one. Nonetheless, Raid survives. Abyss hold on as best they can. Banner of Command not going to be as useful this time around for Tiga unless he gets it into the not Swiper lane. But even then, Radar is the recipient of this side lane farm. This was the problem in game number 1, is if they tried to put Radar in a side lane, he'd die. There was a Hecarim who could flank him. Shen can still do that with the Kha'Zix. We have to remember it requires the Kha'Zix to be there. And that's an able body missing. Chiefs now collapsing.
They're looking for Luch and Seb here as the Magical Journey gets him on top of him. The exhaust immediately goes down as he gets shoved back in through as well. There's Spooks, got caught by the Tempered Fate. Swipe is going to get in the backline, but does he want to be there? As Pac-Man gets a really nice taunt. The shutdown comes in, really nice seismic shove as Swiper cannot get anything more done. Raid over the side gets caught out of position as T-Gun goes through the Magical Journey to save his AD carry. Can they do it as Seb wants to get resets, but he can't find them? Another shove, they're looking for it, but they don't find it. Oh my goodness, this is terrifying. The Weaver's Wall coming in as well as Swift is going to get over the side. Oh my god, so close, but he's able to lock it in. Luch takes down the Bard, gets over the side there as well, but Swiffer flashes. He will fall as Luch gets the double kill, and Spooks, no mana, but wants to be able to help take down this big Rise, and he does do so. Pac-Man gets a shield, but he's got no Shadow Dash and can't get over that wall. It was a close fight, but the Chiefs get it. 3 for 5.
And they didn't kill the Trundle at the start of the fight. That is what comes back to bite them, and Big Swips is angry. The Chiefs in this second game have found themselves a window of opportunity to make it work for them. They might still get a lot of damage onto this. T-Gun's not enough to deter them.
Yeah, it does have a Banner of Command minion, but that's about it as he's shielded up. Swiper taking a lot of damage. He's going to die to the turret as Spooks has to repel. T-Gun gets a whole bunch of health back from that Mantra W at the same time as Curtain Call comes in. Double kill for T-Gun, and Seb's there to block for him. Well, what a disaster.
That's right, Atlas.
Didn't really know what else to say. That was a bit of a catastrophe.
You stole my line, all right? That's exactly what I was going to say, unfortunately. It was a disaster.
I'm all about stealing lines today. It just seems to be my thing.
2 kills under the turret. T-Gun actually gets both of them. And the Chiefs try too hard to get something when they should have just taken what they could. And that was the team fight. They've sedated the big angry Slips, unfortunately. Abyss able to bite back. The goal between these teams still only 1,000. Well and truly in where the opportunity is. We do get to see the situation where Swiper tanks the turret. That was actually... Oh no. Continue to tank it. We're fighting.
Yeah, so Luch is going to be able to throw down multiple shields. Gets the Stand United there as well. McCull, sorry, does have himself the Guardian Angel, so that is a big deal. 4 items here for the Rise. 7, 3, and 4. So he's big. They can't get the pick.
He's definitely big, but he's also missing most of his health bar at the moment. When it comes to sustain, Rise has some of it, but not that much. I think it actually pushes them away. The real focus is actually on the Baron that's up in 3 seconds. Vision at the very least needs to be around it. It looks like they kicked this off from the start.
Immediately. Look at the damage that they do to this Baron buff as well. Immediate Scrying Orb. So the Chiefs do know exactly what's happening, and they are going to move away as Raid wasn't tagged earlier, so only going to take a whole bunch of damage.
Yeah, that deadly. But that's a lot of damage. The Loot actually taking that Gromp, stole his life steal as well, but Abyss, they try something. It wasn't a bluff. It was completely called by the Chiefs and forces them away. This still is a very tense game, honestly.
They know that Swiper doesn't have teleport. They may just make their way back into this Baron pit, but the vision has been gained by the Chiefs. Yeah. 3 pink wards around the area there as well. You can see them.
So without Swiper having teleport, they made that play about a minute in advance by trying to push the Chiefs towards their turrets. It means they couldn't get vision. They could easily be baiting. Who knows? But the Chiefs checked it right.
Yeah.
So they get themselves out. Swiper's teleport is still not there, but you're right. The vision has now been established by this Chiefs roster. They've got a lot of pink wards around. They've set themselves up a full triangle of pink vision. They can get from A to B happily.
That's 5 pink wards around the Baron pit.
We're about to see Seb find Swiper, by the way, looking for the 3rd Ocean Drake for Abyss. They want that. The Chiefs could just go straight to Baron, though.
We'll see whether they do head over there as Pac-Man moving to the Baron pit now. Swiper.
He's level 17 Swiper compared to Pac-Man's 14.
Oh my God.
This is super awkward, honestly. I think Swiper can take them.
He's looking for it as Tempered Fate doesn't find any of the other members of Abyss. And Pac-Man, my God, he can! This is ridiculous. Swiper doing work. EGM on the wrong side here as the Scrying Orb comes down, but you can see Luch just explodes him. Spook's in trouble as well. Swift has been picked off. Abyss with 2 Swift ones. The heal out from Radier to save Spooks. Doesn't get tagged by the True Shot barrage. But what was looking great from Swiper's angle just goes bad.
And Pac-Man got out alive. I think they should have just played to the Baron, the Chiefs, but instead they looked for the fight. Tempered Fate missing, Magical Journey used. Ejin was nothing but lambs to the slaughter with Swiffer, who willingly threw himself in with it. This comes down to Spooks and Radier. No Swiper, but the teleport's up. And this Baron's getting destroyed.
And there's the curtain call as well as Spooks tries to get the steal, doesn't. Raid already over the wall, wants to find the kill onto Radier, but my goodness, Abyss, another Baron, and they also kill the jungler.
Yeah, Spooks just squashed by the biggest boot I've ever seen. He actually did not live longer than a second even trying to steal that. 1-6 right now is the jungler of the Chiefs. And how the tables have turned, honestly. Abyss win game 1 through top lane. They're now winning game 2, albeit by a small margin, through the rest of the map. The same thing goes for the Chiefs in how they're actually losing the game. So it's really impressive to watch this from Abyss.
Yeah, they've just switched up their style as now they're collapsing on Swiper, who wants this Ocean Drake. Ejim caught out of position by Raid, who just sidesteps the Cosmic Binding. Radier looks for it. Stand United on top of Raid, though. Dash Cannon comes in. Chiefs getting themselves out as there's the Tempered Fate. But just a disengage, and that is going to be the 4th Dragon going to Abyss. The 3rd Ocean Drake for them. That is a lot of regen.
Yeah, 3 Ocean Drakes is a pretty unreal amount of health and mana regeneration for an Ezreal composition as well. Even the Ryze will benefit from this. They've got the Baron buff. They only have themselves the slight edge. Oh. Now with this
Baron
buff,
of Command.
Yeah, they can look towards pushing now. And between the Ezreal and Karma, they've got a fair chunk of poke. I just worry for the Chiefs.
Oh my goodness. Raid is playing like a beast. Carbon was exactly right when we say we should be looking at this guy. He's had a really good series. Caught by the Cocoon though, that is not great. As Swiper
is the tank.
Takes a lot of damage from Luge. Deadly Flourish, not going to find him. Remember, he's got a GA. Still feeling all right as Pac-Man's got Teleport, but not Stand United. That is important. He wants to be Stand Uniting into these fights, giving the shield.
Yeah, he also wants the level 16 spike that he doesn't have for his ultimate. So until that point, he's just the teleporter. Raid no flash could be quite important in these next fights. He's playing super aggressive and is prone to being picked off by the Elise and or the Talia. The Jhin to follow it up means that someone caught in the front lines dies. And so they have to be particular with this.
This poke is ridiculous. Swiper, room prisoned up. Luch gets the 2nd round from the passive as Raid avoids all of the damage. And the Chiefs are just getting poked, and they can't do anything about it. Abyss are at full health because this Ocean Drake triplet is ridiculous. Weaver's Wall, they're going for the engagement as the tower falls on the bottom side. But the wall's just going to hold out Seb and T-Gun for a moment.
Yeah, blocks off the minions with it. Actually gives enough time for Chiefs to look to recall, but the damage on the other side of the wall was more than enough. Abyss now look towards the bottom side of the map as 5. Raid might want to find himself a safer position, but his damage is unreasonable.
Whoa, look at that Tempered Fate onto 3 members of Abyss here. They want to find something. A massive seismic shove comes down. If Chiefs can win a fight, it's going to be this one, but Raid is dead. Seb's looking for the resets. As you can see, Pac-Man picks up Swiffer. Spook's in trouble as well. Raid going off as Luch has launched himself into the backline. Stand United's right there, and Luch is going toe-to-toe with Swiper. Raid's going to be able to take down the boss that is the Trundle. And that is 4 members of the Chiefs dead. And this is Abyss looking to 2-0 our former legends and champions of the OPL.
They have the Baron buff. They may not have many minions, but what they do have on their side is time and a lot of tanks. Abyss eSports, the 3rd consecutive series that the Chiefs have gone down, and Abyss break that 3-game curse. They get themselves the win.
7,000 gold in the lead. The Nexus is going to fall. Luch is looking for some kills, but he's not going to find them because his team has one thing in mind, and that is killing the Nexus. Their first 2-game series, and it's victory over the Chiefs. I mean, that's a pretty sweet way to end Super Week if you're an Abyss fan.
And you have to say the Chiefs Super Week curse continues, yet to find a single victory in that Super Week. Really unfortunate stuff. The way that Abyss won, though, this time was not through Pac-Man, actually through Luch and the rest of the team. Raid did step up, and that's a well-rounded team performance from Abyss as a whole.
Exactly right, and this is consistency as well out of this team. Really beautiful out of Abyss, but let's hear what the analyst desks have to say of the Abyss win.
I just think a lot of excitement for a new team coming into the OPL and now toppling the Chiefs, the reigning champions. And, the Chiefs, they had patches in that game where they were back to their brilliance. I mean, a great Talia wall in the top lane, The Baron pickup, just flashes, but Abyss consistently able to beat them to the punches.
I mean, I think you'd have to almost just put it down to mechanics, really. I mean, there wasn't any huge macro plays that Abyss were making, but in every team fight, it just seemed like, well, most team fights, sorry, it just seemed like Abyss, they were hitting their skill shots. They were hitting the priority targets. Their shot calling in the team fight looked really good.
I feel like a lot of people slept on Abyss. I'm going to now take this moment because I really stood up for Abyss.
By the way, I love when people do this when 2-4. I'm going to wait until they have successfully toppled a reigning champion before I put my vote.
What did you predict before?
In the power rankings, I was really strong on Abyss being higher up, and everyone else shut me down. And I literally wrote their roster on the board, and I was like, this is Pac-Man, Seb, and Luch. The top side of this map is already golden. It just needs time to work together. And then you have T-Gun and Raid. Now, T-Gun and Raid, I don't think they're mechanically the best bot lane, but they do a great job at neutralizing and kind of playing more janitorial. T-Gun, especially when he picks up that Karma pick.
To be fair, we put them behind Sin, who have historically finished very well and have Rymeister on their team, as well as a young man called Rogue, who is also very good mechanically.
The Sin fan.
Did you see that? Did you see that Karma 2v1 on the tower? I mean, I don't know if we can really say that T-Gun's not that mechanically good because that was unreal.
All right, getting back to the game at hand. I mean, that was a really nice 2v1 underneath the turret. T-Gun has definitely elevated his game, I think it is fair to say. Like, one of those pro players that has had a bit of a rebirth in this series.
Karma really seems to suit him.
Yeah, it certainly does. Fantastic champion. And I think that, they did have two very well-balanced team comps. One that carried through the top lane, and this one second. Rise was a time bomb.
I mean, what I really like is when one team does one thing, they lose, and then the next team says, like, all right, you had your go, now let us have a go. And Lucha on that Rise was just unreal. I mean, it started at, I think, level 4 in the top blue side jungle. Chiefs were very lucky to get out without any deaths. And then just throughout the game, he was just pressuring mid, pressuring the sides. I mean, Talia, we were discussing this backstage. Does Talia fall off? Does she not? Where is she strong? Yada, yada, yada. Well, Rise, he doesn't fall off. He's extremely strong.
And that's the scary thing is because there was a time limit on a scaling composition. They had Ezreal and Ryze. And yes, Ezreal's going to peak before Ryze does, but you also then had Kha'Zix in the jungle. So you have 3 power points on that map that take time to kind of come online. And Spooks just was unable to, get it done. He had this big window of opportunity where he was a heavy ganking jungler and he just wasn't happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they had Bard, Elise, Talia. Like, they had some extremely strong, and Jhin, sorry. They had extremely strong pick champs. Really good potential early game against Kha'Zix, Ezreal, Ryze. I mean, they had to scale. Those 3 had to scale, and they just let them farm. They just let them farm. They did nothing for the first 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden, oh no, they're so fed. What do we do now?
Yeah, and exactly right. And with that, it was actually Abyss eSports picking up the 2-0 victory over the Chiefs, who just seem to be struggling. As we take a look at the rest of the week's results on Monday night, it was Abyss picking up a 2-1 victory over Tainted Minds before the Direwolves kicked off the Chiefs' bad week with a 2-1 victory themselves on Tuesday night. Hellions were unfortunately still searching for their first victory as Avantgarde picked up that 2-0, and then Legacy retained their OPL Legend title 2-1. Tonight, of course, Tainted Minds took down the Hellions in pretty quick fashion. And then, you know what? Surprise to everyone, Abyss thought they could share suit. And if you had have taken away nameplates, Chiefs and Hellions looked awfully similar to me tonight. Ooh. I mean, they both got punched up pretty bad. As we have a look at the standings as the rest of the season goes out, I mean, Legacy is still top 6-1. Your OPL Legends. Carbon's dancing on the desk. Direwolves are just behind them, 6-1 as well. Chiefs are now equal 4th, although they do have their head-to-head 4-3. Avantgarde right up their tail, and they've got them in a couple of weeks. I mean, Tatum Minds just outside that top 5 now, 3-4. Abyss 3-4 also. I think that should be switched because of their head-to-head, but that's all right. We'll ignore that one. Sin Gaming is 2-5, and Hellions, they're still searching for their first victory. This is going to be really, really interesting, Carbon. Are you guys feeling pretty comfortable up there on the top?
I'm going to hold on to it for a few more weeks, I reckon. Very excited, looking forward to the final.
Yeah, I certainly am actually looking forward to it as well. As we take a look at the games ahead next week, it is going to be Direwolves kicking us off against Abyss eSports, and all of a sudden that match gets very interesting with finals implications on the line. OPL Legend match is going to be Legacy versus Hellions, so I reckon you might be right there unless something really crazy happens. 6 p.m. on Tuesday night, Sin Gaming will kick it off versus Avant, and then the Chiefs will go up against Tainted Minds against their old sister team for the second time tonight. Of course, guys, everyone, including Carbon, Carbon is battling their way to that OPL Grand Final. On August 13, Courier Mail Piazza in Brisbane, Queensland. We've got the OPL Final coming up, and right now it looks like it might be the first one in a long time that the Chiefs aren't going to attend. We'll see how it works out. Of course, if you can't get to Brisbane, you might be able to join them in a Hoyt's viewing party or something along those lines. However, guys, that is all the OPL we have tonight. On behalf of myself, the analyst desk, the casters, and the entire production crew, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.